Hello, I'm Luis.
And I'm Diana, and we're here with you once again to talk about some of the things that we love to talk about, which is the movie, TV, music, and of course, this time we have books and technology, basically media kind of things. And we covered some of those things last time when Luis had his questions, but this time I have some questions for him, and I guess some of them he thinks are a little bit hard, but I think you'll be able
Well, I'm
to do it.
guessing. I'm guessing they'll be hard because you ask a lot of questions.
I know, so did you, though. I
Oh,
mean,
I
no
didn't mean to. Right, right. Okay. We'll find out.
Yeah, yeah. We'll find out if I can stump him or
Right.
if he's able to get the answers to some of this. I told him that this is for his grades, so
All
like if
right.
he answer all the questions, he might not get an A. He might
Right.
just have to slide by with a C or something.
Well, C is
We'll see,
passing.
though. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So anyway, so our first question will be in the movies and TV section, which I think shouldn't be very hard since I think you actually watch more movies than I do, and maybe even
Uh-huh.
some more TV shows than I do. I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah. So, okay, my first question for you is if you were deserted in an island for a year, but were allowed to have 5 movies with you to watch during that time, what would they be?
um. Let me, because there's tons of movies. What would
Yeah, I know
be
there are.
what would be your five if you had to do that?
Okay, well, based on like things that entertain me and things that just kind of make me feel good, that's what I based it on because
Right.
like you said, there's so many choices.
Right.
I picked Clueless.
Okay.
That's like movie like from 1998, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and it's based on this book that is written by Jane Austen. The book is Emma,
Yeah.
so it's kind of based on that. And like I said, it would just be fun to read because I love the book and it's 90s nostalgia. It's cute, it's romantic, has Alicia Silverstone and also Paul Rudd, who
Mhm.
are, I think, pretty ageless. Like, if you look at them now
Mm-hmm.
and compare them to what they looked like back in 1998, they look like almost the same. Like, it's just kind of amazing, you know? So, Clueless would be one of my movies. Also, Gone with the Wind is a period piece. I don't know if very many people have seen it, but it's one of my favorite movies. I kind of relax when I watch that movie, and it's a little bit dramatic, but I think it's kind of funny too. So I like it because it's like all the things, and it has Vivian Lee and who's that guy? Clark Gable, yeah.
Right.
And I just love the costumes and just everything about it. My sister and I are like crazy about that movie. So and it's long too.
Right.
So
Oh, I know.
if I was in a deserted place, it would just be like one of those long movies that would just put me in the mood, you know, to just chill and relax. And this one you might be surprised about. My number 3 movie, would be 50 First Dates,
Oh,
or maybe Singer.
which one?
Those 2 movies make me laugh. That has Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore.
I
Those
didn't
2
hear
movies.
I didn't hear the second one.
It's either 50 First Dates or The Wedding Singer. They're
Oh,
both in those
okay.
movies. And you know, I love them together, and they're so funny.
Mm-hmm.
And when I looked up like what movies they were in just to like get the spelling right for myself, I was kind of like, well, you know, like it said that they'd been in 5 movies together, and that
Oh.
really surprised me. I was just like, are you kidding? I haven't seen them because I just love them together, and those are 2 of my favorite movies that they're in.
Quick question.
And
What
yeah,
are the
yeah,
what are the other 3 movies like for them? Because I know there's Blended. They weren't Blended. What
I
were
have
the?
not seen. I don't know the other 2. I can't remember.
Oh,
I
okay.
just was like, what? They're in other movies and I missed it? Like, how? You know, but I guess I have. I kind of haven't always been around and watching movies. Like, sometimes I'm in Belize, and for a while we weren't, we didn't have the internet, or we just, you know, like, I felt like a little bit like I was in the jungle, and then I would show up again and kind of catch up with stuff again, you
Right.
know, like, so I guess I got to catch up on the other movies because I love those 2. And number 3, I'm still on number 3. Little Women, 1994 version, not the new one, because in this 1994 version, I just feel like part of the March family. I've read the book several times. It's by Louisa May Alcott, And in the 1994 version, it has Susan Nona Sarandon, Wynader, Claire Danes, and Kirsten Dunst. Those names might sound a little bit familiar,
Yeah.
but that's my favorite version of Little Women. So I would pick that. And I would pick The Notebook. No surprise. It's like a chick flick. Romantic, sweet. Has Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling. And I don't know. Have you seen that movie?
Yes, and I was gonna I forgot about her because she was one of my crushes. I guess she was one of my celebrity crushes. I just liked her. I like her.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And I was gonna tell you something afterward about her.
Well, she was in Mean Girls, and for the longest time, I didn't know that she was the same person in Mean Girls, and I should have known, but I'm just not good at that, all the
Right.
time.
Right. Right.
She was like one of the main characters.
Yeah.
So she's in this movie with Ryan, like I
Gosling.
said, Ryan Gosling, and he and her hated each other. Did you know that?
Yes.
Like,
And then they start.
I
And then
mean,
they dated after, which is crazy.
I know. So I was just like, what? I didn't know they hated each other during this movie. Like, what? So
Yeah.
it's like when you watch it, you kind of like have to, like, did they really hate each other?
Right.
Or was it like a love-hate kind of thing,
More than likely, that's what happened. Yeah. Like a love hate or
Yes.
something.
Yeah. So it's like Pride and Prejudice kind of thing. So, I don't know. So anyway, so that would be my other movie. And my last one is The Sound of Music. I love musicals. It just has the scenery, it has the romance, it has everything. And it's a long movie too. And I just love that movie as well. I mean, like there's so many others. It's hard to pick 5.
Right.
But if I have to watch it over and over, these are movies I think I could watch and not like get sick of them,
Right.
So
Right.
I think those would be mine. So what about you?
I don't know how to start with it. Okay, let's see. Maybe by order.
Okay.
Okay, like I guess. Well, my first one, I guess, would be The Lion King, the original animated one. That was more like for nostalgia, I think I mentioned it last time. It was my favorite soundtrack. So that's a movie that I could watch like any time, really, because I mean, when I was younger, I'd watch it a lot.
Right.
At our neighbors, because we didn't really have a VCR or anything like that until later. So they were like what kind of middle class, I guess. So we would go to their house and then they would have a movie. So The Lion King for sure. So that's one.
Okay.
That was one for me. And then 2 would be Dumb and Dumber. I know you haven't seen it, which is kind of
Okay.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that one.
The movie
It's a classic. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was gonna say the movie I skipped out on when they picked it for high school. They had like before you go on Christmas break, they vote on movies, and I'm like, how did this movie get voted in? And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be in homeroom anyway, so I'm just gonna be doing my own thing while they play it, So, all right, maybe if I watched it now, there might be things about it I like, but
Right.
I like it, obviously.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a classic. Like the way that you watched Groundhog's Day or Groundhog Day. Dumb and Dumber is one of those that you need to you need to watch because it's kind of it pretty much it pretty much started off Jim Carrey. Like his career really took off after that one.
Okay, and see, I don't love him in all his movies,
Right.
so like I don't know.
No, well, he was big in the 90s, and then he kind of dropped off. But there was a while where he was just making all those. It was like Ace Ventura, The Mask. He was very he was very popular for a while, and then it kind of dropped off.
One of the only movies I remember. Well, I know there must have been another one, but Liar Liar was the one that I actually liked him in.
Oh, wow.
The rest of them I was kind of like,
That was actually one of his weaker ones, according to like most people that like them. I guess they like more of the other style of humor.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that wasn't my kind of humor, but
Right. Yeah. Okay, so that's 2.
2.
And then I'm gonna get I guess nerdy with the next one. Oh no, I'll do one more and then I'll do the 2 last ones that are the nerd ones. So Remember the Titans is my 3rd one, and again
the football movie.
yeah, the Disney football movie.
Okay, yep, I know that one.
Yeah, that one was I think it was like in 8th grade going to 9th grade. So I remember that, and I mean it was I mean, again, nostalgia, and then I remember, sometimes when you listen to music, you can kind of go back to the moment, it's kind of like that. Like that movie reminds me of the time that I was in at the. So
Right. Right.
So yeah, that was the third one that I liked a lot. I could watch that almost any time, really. Also, and then the last two are like a part one and a part two of the Avengers Infinity War, and then Avengers Endgame. I know you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but those were the last two movies, like the big movies that ended like the whole series of, the Marvel, because there was like a big villain, in all the superhero movies that are like Marvel. I mean, it's kind of a little complicated, right? But there were a bunch of movies that led up to the end when they finally defeated him, and the last two movies were like almost like 3 hours each, So there's the Infinity War was like almost 3 hours, and then the other one was 3 hours, so it's like 6 hours there. And if I'm gonna be like
the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Those would be good ones if you're deserted somewhere. Like you have 3 movies, I think it's 3, that you would be able to watch for at least 9 hours, and it would, like you could watch over and over and probably see things that you didn't other times,
Exactly.
But, yeah.
And that's the thing, because the Lord of the Rings is actually 3, the original one, and then they had like a prequel series also. So there's like 6 in total of the Lord of the Ring ones.
I've only seen the first 3.
Right.
So.
Right. And then, but the whole thing is like with all the Marvel movies, there's like I told you last time, there's like probably 20 something, So that's like that'd be crazy. But yeah, I think those would be my 5 movies if I was deserted in an island.
All right, you get an A for coming up with 5, because you're like 5. I have to come up with numbers.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
The other ones are really harder.
Yeah. So we're moving on with what's happening now, which is the Olympics. They're on right now. And so my question is, which sports have you been interested in following? And if you had the talent and ability, which sports do you think you might consider doing?
Okay. I've been following the men's basketball. Well, the women's also. The men and women's basketball. The men and women's soccer. So I've been following basketball, soccer, and then the swimming, and then the track and field currently also. So I've been following a lot of it. And then as far as like, I've even followed the gymnastics, which I kind of do, just to see how the U.S. does. But this year more so because of the drama with Simone Biles. So I've been following all that.
Right.
So that's been interesting. And then if there was something that I would compete in, like realistically, swimming would have been like I was a good swimmer, so I figured swimming might have been it. And I like swimming a lot. I like water. So,
yeah, me too.
So maybe swimming, like in a realistic sense, right? But if I was, if I had any talent, like I would make myself really tall and talented, and I'd be playing basketball or something. So realistically, swimming would be the most,
Yeah.
But if I could grow and then basketball would be the most fun.
Change your height. Come on.
Well, you said
only if you had a genie.
Well, you said if I had talent or something.
Talent is different than changing your height.
Okay, then I guess. Well, even soccer. I'm kind of soccer. You don't have to be super tall either, but I guess swimming.
Yeah.
Swimming would be realistic and more fun. I guess swimming would be it. What about yourself?
Totally. Yeah, I've been swimming since before I could walk, probably. So I always thought that swimming would be cool. But what I've been following is, of course, gymnastics. That's always been one of my favorite things to follow when the Olympics are on. I saw a little bit of diving, some trampolining, and some of the racing. But like, I don't know. Like, I love the water, just like you said. But like, I feel now like I'm just too old. Not that I'm like ancient or anything, but like because I have asthma sometimes, like my lungs are not as good with swimming and stuff, and I know how much work it is. So I love swimming, but I don't think I would want to do that. So I would consider like maybe something. It's probably not easy, but it just seems easier when you watch it. Not that it is, but I would maybe consider like diving. Because like with gymnastics, I think they hurt themselves a lot,
Yeah.
And with diving, I think you just need the skill, the timing, the height, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't see that you would break anything unless you like hit your head on the diving board or something, you know.
Right. What?
And
How are
it
you
looks
with?
fun.
How are you with heights?
Okay, so you have to bring that up. I think with the diving board, I would be fine when I'm up in an airplane and I wake
Uh-huh.
up, like in the air, like that high. Then I'm just like, oh my
Right.
gosh, I'm like this high up in the air. But I think with diving, it's not like super high or anything like that. So
Uh-huh.
I would be fine. I'm pretty sure. I think, you
Right.
know.
Right. Because you would have to like look down and then jump down, like willingly jump. So, yeah, I think you'll be fine though. Yeah.
It's not like skydiving or anything.
Oh
like
no,
that.
no, a big difference. Yeah. Right.
Yep, totally. So we're on question number 3. It says, what old TV shows do you enjoy well enough to watch over and over again? Like, can you think of
Uh-huh.
TV shows that you just watch like anytime
Yeah.
or anything like that?
Yeah, The Simpsons. The Simpsons I could watch anytime, even just as background. And
Mhm.
The American Office, like The Office US, and Friends,
Yeah.
and Friends. So I guess maybe those 3.
Okay, yeah, The Simpsons have been on forever.
Yeah.
And I feel like I haven't seen that show in a long time, but I feel like I could like just want to watch it, just like how you mentioned it. It just makes me want to watch it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But like for me, like I have a few shows, but I go with the older shows. I think like
Mhm.
I Dream of Jeannie,
Oh,
I Love Lucy, Bewitched, Leave It to Beaver, Little House on the Prairie, and I don't know if you remember these or if you're too young, but they used to have these TGIF shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, on ABC.
Uh-huh.
And I think I could pretty much watch any of those shows because they were just so cool. And
There was
for
one that I
nostalgia's
forgot
sake.
also. Boy Meets World. I really like that show. And I've
Yep.
probably seen all the episodes of that one. Well, Friends also. I think Friends and Boy Meets World, I've seen every single episode of those.
Okay. Yeah, so I think those would be like my shows and your shows. I mean, I think it's kind of good to go over these because
Mhm.
people sometimes forget these shows
Right.
were around, or there's so many shows like that
now-
that just
Now,
make us feel better. You know,
Yeah,
like when we
exactly.
watch them sometimes.
right. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And also nowadays, there's like so many shows that it's kind of hard to keep track of all the streaming services and which show is on which, service. It's just kind of, it's a whole different thing. And before we had to wait like, for the week
Yeah.
just to watch it, and now it's all like binging. So it's a whole different thing.
Yep. And I am thankful for streaming services because thanks to them, I have gotten to see shows that I missed when they were on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I go with the next question, which says, what TV shows have you watched every single episode of? And I think streaming services for this. But
Right.
yeah, what have you seen?
Yeah, like I was saying, the Boy Meets World. Boy Meets World, I've seen every episode of, like, when I was growing up, because, it's just, it was
Part
what,
of TGF?
TGIF, and then it was like a weekly show also. Like, it became, like, when we get home from school, it was playing, so that was
Right.
one of them. And then Friends, I would see all the time, but every Thursday, because that's when it would come out, Thursday nights here, and then even in cartoons also there was like an X-Men animated cartoon show, and then there was a cartoon show called Gargoyles, and also Spider-Man animated. So I saw every episode of all those, so because it's kind of like one of those that when you get home from school, that it's kind of, they have like a lineup, like targeted for
Yes.
when you get home from
Totally.
school. So those are the shows that I would watch, and I think I watched every
Yeah.
episode of those shows just because of the time.
Yep. They were on at the right time. That's
Mhm.
all. Yeah, because for me it was Fox Kids, and they used to have like Peter
Okay.
Pan and the Pirates and shows like that. But
wow.
I have like a whole list of shows that I have, like I said, thanks to streaming services, been able to catch up on. Otherwise, I don't think I would have because we
Right.
just always home at the right place, at the right time.
Right.
Yeah. For me, it's like Anne with an E because I did love Anne of Green Gables, like I
Mhm.
mentioned last time.
Right.
But the show was a lot different than the books, unfortunately. But I still watched all of the episodes, and I watched a series of unfortunate events, which had this Neil
Yeah.
Patrick Harris. He did a really good job being a villain.
Yeah.
But there were only 3 seasons, so I was able to catch up with that one pretty good. Avatar: The Last Airbender. I don't know if
Oh
you've ever heard of
wow.
it.
Yes, yes.
There were only 3 seasons, and I remember my brothers and sisters watching that
Mhm.
on Nickelodeon, but then it was like on Netflix as well.
Yeah.
So I watched that. Here's a show I recommend to you. It came out in 2017. There was only one season,
Mhm.
and it's called The Cathedral of the Sea, and it's actually in Spanish.
Mhm.
But you could switch it over to English because for me it's hard to
What's
understand.
is it like Spanish, like
Cathedral.
Spain Spanish or Latin American
It's
Spanish?
No, it's like Spain Spanish.
Ah,
So I
okay.
think for me it's harder because the people speak with
The
an accent
yeah,
faster.
yeah,
So I had to switch it to English, which they have accents and stuff.
right.
But I really liked it. It was only one season, and I watched that sometime in May.
What's it on?
And of course, it's on Netflix.
On Netflix. Okay.
Yeah, and of course I have Frasier, Cheers, Friends,
Right.
Fuller House.
Yeah. Oh,
I watched
Fuller House?
Merlin.
Not the original?
Fuller House.
Oh, the new ones. Okay.
You haven't heard of Fuller House?
Yeah, like because I'm saying it was Full House was the original, and then Fuller House is
Yeah.
like the like remake or the yeah, yeah. Okay.
Right,
And
yeah.
you're saying Merlin?
So, yeah, Merlin. Like that's usually not what I watch, but it was
Uh-huh.
about King Arthur and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that had seasons, and once I started to watch it, I was kind of hooked.
Right.
Unexpectedly, I should say.
Mhm.
And then the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt is a little bit absurd, but somehow once I started watching it, I just kept watching.
Yeah.
Then there's like other shows like Bridgerton, Grey's Anatomy. I pretty much kept up with that because I started
Oh.
watching it from day one.
That's crazy because that's a lot of seasons on Grey's Anatomy.
Like I'm only on season 16. Like I haven't started.
Only, only. That's
Yeah.
crazy that there's those many
Oh, but it's
seasons.
been on since like 2004
Oh, I know.
or something.
Because I probably
Yeah.
watched it like maybe the first 2-3 seasons, like with the original. I don't have no idea what's going on at all. Like when they had that the blonde girl that I guess she kind of started complaining about the show. What's her name?
Katherine Heigl.
Her. Yeah, I remember back then. Like I think I stopped watching it a little before she left the show, and they had all this drama behind the scenes too, like about I guess the Isaiah
And-
Washington.
Yeah.
And different stuff. So I remember that from back then, but I didn't know they're like already like what season are they in? 20 or what is the close to that,
What?
right?
No, I think they're on season 17,
Oh,
maybe going
wow.
on 18.
Oh wow.
So I think they have 17 seasons on Netflix, but I
Right.
haven't I watched the last season in Belize, and then they recently put
Mhm.
up one on Netflix. I haven't really gotten back to it yet, but I know that I will when I can.
Right, right.
So yeah, so then I also there's this show called One Day at a Time. It's kind of like I guess based on an old show, and it's a multicultural. It's about Spanish Americans, like Cuban Americans.
Mhm.
So I thought that would be interesting to watch. So I've kind of caught up with them.
Uh-huh.
Selena part 1 and part 2. Even though I know what's gonna happen to Selena, I still
Right.
got sucked into watching it
Yeah.
and I feel like I learned a lot about her and her family.
Right.
But it's kind of funny because you watch it with the expectations, I guess, and then you're bummed because you have like she dies,
Well, it's
and
kind of
you're
like
"Oh."
it's kind of like watching that Titanic movie. Like everyone knew it was gonna happen, but I guess just seeing it play out, right?
Yeah, but not everyone dies, so you really don't know who's gonna make it and who
Oh,
won't.
right. In Titanic. Okay, okay. But like it's gonna hit an iceberg and stuff. It's kind of like a spoiler, but no, I know what you
Yeah.
mean. I know what you mean.
Do you know? I read something recently. Now that you bring Titanic up, this lady was like on 3 different ships
yeah.
besides Titanic, and somehow she made it off the ship. So they said either she's lucky
Oh,
or
she's the cause of it.
curse.
Yeah, that would make sense because I would be looking at like nothing's a coincidence like that much. Like before you know it, like you're a suspect.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, why haven't they made a movie about this
Right.
lady? Because it'd be so interesting to see her on the different ships and how she makes it off.
Right, right.
So-
Yeah.
And I can't remember her name or anything.
Mhm.
But okay, so one last show that I've watched all the seasons to, I think. Well, actually, it's on Hallmark, so I haven't. I've only watched what's on Netflix, and it's When Calls the Heart because it's based on a book that Jeanette Oak, a Christian writer, wrote. And so, but it's nothing like the book series. But I started watching it because I had read it, And I like the show, you know, because it's like a little bit like Little House on the Prairie. It's like a period piece, and
Mhm.
yeah, so I watched that, and that was one of the last other ones that I watched all the seasons too. And speaking of period pieces, I also watched Bridgerton, which
Yeah.
is kind of
Raunchy.
a little bit like I would not want to watch it. I watched it by myself, and I'm like, thank God, I would not be wanting to be watching this with like my parents or pretty much anyone else, you know.
Right.
So yeah, definitely. So okay, we're halfway through. So question number 5 is on music. So are you ready
Oh,
to talk
okay.
about music here?
Yeah,
Okay,
go for it.
when it comes to music, what do you listen to, and which artists are you inspired by or impressed by, I should say?
Uh-huh. I listen to mainly Christian music, and then I guess an actor that I guess I'm impressed by is and they even made a movie about him, Jeremy Camp. Uh,
Act.
what was that?
Oh, we're talking. We're. I was like actor. I thought we were talking about music.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the Christian music is the genre that I like,
Oh.
and then Jeremy Camp
Mhm.
is the singer. And remember, I don't know if you saw the
Right.
movie that they made about him, like based on his
You think?
life, where his wife
Mhm.
dies. And he's still.
No.
No, you haven't seen that?
Yeah. No, I have not seen the movie. But was he in it?
No, it was an actor playing like it was like based on his life really, and it was about how his wife, had cancer and she died, and he was like, well, being a Christian singer, and he still like pushed through it, and it was kind of like
Yeah.
it was sad, but at the same time like encouraging. It was like it's one of those movies you can only watch once. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh.
but I guess
Yeah.
I'm impressed by him as a person, right? Like so. Because it ties into like him being a musician, but also like the life itself, and it's a very testimony. His testimony is very strong in that. Like he still loves God and is serving God even with that tragedy that happened to his wife. It's very difficult. So I guess
That's
that would
true.
be who I'm impressed by. Not so much for his talent and the music itself, but I guess him like as a person. I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Because people go through a lot, and they can handle it in all kinds of
Right.
ways. Like for instance, I remember a while back. Speaking of Christian artists, there was Stephen Curtis Chapman who lost a child
Yeah.
because of this accident.
Yes.
Like I think another one of his son, like killed
His adopted
like
daughter.
his little
Yeah.
yeah. And so then that would be hard to get. Like, how
Right.
do you deal with that? But and he had to do it kind of in the public eye, and
Yeah.
all that.
Right.
So yeah.
And what about the
So,
music you
look-
like and your favorite artists, stuff like those?
Yeah, well, I don't know, like it depends on my mood, like, and it depends on what I'm doing. Like for instance, if I'm working out,
Mm-hmm.
I like listening to like alternative music or pop music, but it's more like music from the 1980s or the 90s or 2000s. So that's like my kind of music for working out. And then there's like the people whose voices you're just like, oh, they have like such nice voices, like for
Right.
like guys, I mean, like for
Right.
me.
Right.
So like for me, I used to like have this thing for, and he's like older music, kind of easy listening.
Uh-huh.
There's like Richard Marx and Josh Groban,
Mhm.
Brian Adams.
Oh, man.
Then of course I used to like John Resnick from the Goo Goo Dolls, because
Uh-huh.
they all kind of have like raspy voices. I mean, not Josh Groban, but those
Right.
other ones. And then there's like the guy from Lifehouse. He also had that
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
a
yeah.
voice,
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. And so I like as for music, I mean besides the voices, I mean I guess I like the easy listening music, and also Christian music inspires me. And like there's like a lot of voices that I like in the Christian music, and I can think of older ones, but I'm not very good with the new names.
Right.
Like Chris Tomlin.
Sorry about that.
They have amazing voices. And then the guy from Third Day that used to be the lead singer for Third Day,
Yeah, yeah.
Mac Powell. He has like a great voice.
Yeah.
And of course, they made fun of this in one movie. what is it, Shallow Hal, about blind people liking Amy Grant. But
Oh.
yeah, she had an unusual voice, and
Uh,
I remembered that when I was at a camp, a girl, I left early, and then later on we saw each other in life, and she's like, "I never got to give you like your Amy Grant mixtape that I made for you,"
wow, that's
and it
funny.
made me think of Shallow Hal.
Wow.
I was just like, "That stupid movie,"
Uh,
like
I
making fun of blind people liking Amy Grant.
I forgot about that altogether. That's crazy. Oh wow.
But it's true. It's because we have like certain like voices are like just a
Uh-huh.
thing, like we pay
Right.
attention to people and that kind of thing. It's just
Right.
funny. Like it made me think of that.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're in books now. Your favorite
Oh
section.
wow. Give me some time for this one.
Yeah. Okay, so if you were somewhere for over a year
Mm-hmm.
where there was no technology, but you were allowed
Uh-huh.
5 books
Black books.
that you could read over like again,
Mhm.
which books would you bring to reread? Is what I have, I guess.
Right.
So books that you like that you would want to reread again.
Okay. Give me time by telling me what you would bring first.
All right, all right. I'll let you cheat from me.
Right.
Um,
Let's think.
So of course I have the Bible because that's really long and it's interesting,
Mhm.
and that's just something that is just to me reading that you could do it every day, and
Right.
it's just
And it's-
encouraging, inspiring, all those things. So I picked the Bible as one of my books.
That's mine
Also,
too,
there's
then.
this book.
That one would
Okay, you
be
pick.
so one for me also because of the same reason, and it's like super long, so you could always like there's no way.
Reread it again.
Oh yeah, for sure. So especially
You,
if
you
you're on an
wouldn't
island.
finish. Yeah, you wouldn't finish it in a couple of months. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
you could, because some people, I guess, sit and read it all that time. For me, I like to just take my time with it.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that would be
Bible
one
would
for
be
me
number
also
one.
then. Hmm.
Okay, so the next book that I pick is kind of long too, and it has a great collection of old classic children's stories with valuable lessons, and it's called The Book of Virtues. And I read it once, and then my uncle had it, and he let me borrow it again. But then I had to give it back, so I didn't get to finish it. But I love that book, and so that would be my other book that I would pick.
Mhm.
And there's this book that I read a while back, and I've seen the movie, and I've like wrote about it after, but I don't really remember it very well, and I want to reread it again. You might know what book I'm talking about. It's Angela's Ashes.
Uh huh.
It made me laugh, and I think I would want to read it again, and I hope to read it again because I thought that was like a really good book, and so that would be my third book.
Right.
And then for my fourth, I would probably be something by Charles Dickens or like A Tale of Two Cities, or maybe Victor Hugo's Les Miserables would be because they're both are long and they're really good. They're great books. If you've never read them, they're so good. And then I pretty much liked all the books that John Grisham has written, but I haven't read all of them either. So I maybe would want to read something I haven't read yet, knowing that I would be fine, reading one of his books. Or there's a book by Pearl S. Buck, and she wrote this book called The Good Earth, and I love that book. It's multicultural because I think either she grew up in China or is Chinese. So I love The Good Earth. So I think there's other books by her that I have not read, and so I think I would want to read something new by her. So.
Right.
Those would be my 5.
Wow.
We have one for you. You have maybe 4 more if you
Right.
can.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah. The Bible's one. 2. For sure, I want a joke book. So maybe a joke book, any random joke book, like the thickest joke book I could find or take, like just to like I guess not depressed get depressed on the island. You know what I mean? Like just have some kind of like a joke book.
You're imagining yourself getting depressed on the island. You don't know. It could be like
Yeah.
a nice island,
Right.
and you could
Well, it's
just
still
be
good
having a
to-
great old time.
It's still good to laugh anyway, so I'd probably a joke book. And I don't know if it would get the nerd books or not. Like I don't know, like because I could read the Lord of the Rings, like the 3 books, right? That'd be like cheating. I don't know, because that'd be 3 right there. Because I don't want to like just read one and then not like have the other 2 to finish it, So I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, because that's the thing. If it's like one of those series books,
Right, you can pick a series. I'll let you cheat. So
okay.
that's 5 books, I guess, right?
Yeah, if it's Lord of the Rings, I would do that just to finish like that, like the an actual like series instead of like leaving it on a cliffhanger or just without finishing it. I mean, I've read other
Right.
books too, but because I've read I read the whole Hunger Games, I read the Percy Jackson series, I read different things like a lot of young adult stuff, which I'm not old, but I'm reading young adult stuff. But
I love YA lit,
Yeah.
It's just one of my favorite genres as well.
Mhm.
I think you learn a lot from some of those
Yeah.
books.
Well, I think I could
So
relate
there's
a lot to that. It reminds me of high school or being a college student, just kind of that age. It's just it's kind of timeless
Yeah.
too. So yeah,
And
I
you
guess,
just go through a lot of changes
Right.
and yeah, like there's a lot of great like To Kill a Mockingbird and just there's just so many like in that
Right.
like I remember all the books that I read during that time, like
Right.
when I was growing up too. So
Yeah. Well, a lot of
I
them were
get
like
it.
school required. I know The Great Gatsby we had to read like twice. Even in college, there's a class I had to read The Great Gatsby. A Streetcar Named Desire we had to read also.
Yeah, I never read that.
Yeah, that's the one that had the book. Well, even him, right? Because he was in the movie. The Marlon Brando was in the cover of the
Okay.
book and then the movie. So it was like, yeah, there's a lot of classic literature that it's required.
Yeah. I remember reading like I'm Outsider. Of course, we
Yeah,
had to
The
do like
Outsiders.
Romeo and Juliet. We had to do like a piece of The Birds. We had to watch the Alfred Hitchcock
Oh
movie.
wow.
We had to do Of Mice and Men.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
so
like
Mice and Men for sure. That's one. Steinbeck. Yeah.
yep. And so like those kind of things. It's kind of interesting to remember like what we had to do and what kids now are doing.
Right.
You know.
Oh yeah. Right. I think now Harry Potter was like starting to be part of the literature when I was like in high school. So that was
I
something.
don't know.
that
I
was-
think that's actually on the banned on list
Oh,
of
now it
banned
is.
books.
Oh wow.
Well,
Because I guess
you
there
know,
was all
we
this
had
debate in
them.
high school, right? Or yeah, when they changed it.
Yeah. So there's a list, and they have reasons why. So
Right.
I don't know if they get it into the classroom curriculum or not because I'm not like a teacher,
Mhm.
so I couldn't tell you. But like I read all of them and I like them, but at the same time, I don't know if I would want my kids to read them because I mean, as a mature reader, I kind of know what's going on, and
Mhm.
I don't know if I would want my kids to read all that. But I guess it depends how mature they are and how old they are too.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to question number 7. Which book, movie, or TV show could you always imagine yourself in and why?
Which book, movie, or TV show? Huh.
Mhm.
You go. Tell me. Tell me what you think.
Oh, I think you know. I mean, I have to say the Anne of Green Gables
Yeah.
books, like last time,
Yeah.
and or the 1985 movie because her and the characters always just seem so real to me. And that might seem like a kind of archaic answer because like the movie was in 1985. But really, when you think about it, Ellen Montgomery lived from 1874 to 1942. So it's kind of cool that her book was made into a movie like way later. And even though that movie came out a long time ago and her books were written a long time ago, I still love them. And there's still a lot of other people besides me. I can't be the only one that still relates to them and loves them. So
Right.
that would be my choice. So
Maybe
you,
I'm like Rain Man, maybe or.
man.
No, I really don't know. What book or movie?
Oh, movies too, TV shows. Come on, you
Yeah.
watched a lot of.
Oh, I must
Sure.
have not. But I'm like, could I relate to the like? But you could envision yourself being there. That's what you're saying. Like you could, like it's just very
Like,
realistic.
Part of the characters or part of the whole scene or whatever. Like I mean, for all I know, you could want to be part of the that '70s show crew or
Right.
something.
I think the. I think The
The Big
Office.
Easy.
I think The American Office, just because I watched so much of it, that I could just like be a fly on the wall. You know what I mean? Like just be there with the characters, just observing, not really interacting, but just kind of like observing them. Like I don't know, just because of all the since I watched that show so much when I was kind of like in high school and college, I guess that would be one. I could like imagine myself there.
Okay, I have not seen that show.
Mhm.
I've heard people complain about it or like it,
Yeah.
of the camera and everything like that.
Yeah.
But like for some reason, I always thought maybe you felt a little bit like more like Big Bang Theory kind of person.
Because you think I'm a nerd or something? Yeah. Yeah. No.
No, you. I just know that you talk a lot about superheroes
Yeah.
and comic books exactly all the time. But you know,
Right.
like, and not that you're a genius scientist or anything.
right.
But I thought maybe you would have fun hanging out with them or something. I don't know.
Well, that'd be cool if they were to like have all those memorabilia, all those action figures, all those comics, all those things they have are cool. Okay, well, I'll change it to that. I'd be like playing with their toys and stuff like that. But they'd get mad because they don't want anybody to open them or whatever. But that'd be
Right.
because
Totally.
it would ruin the mint condition, the price, and the collectible value, all this stuff. So especially Sheldon.
Yeah,
Sheldon would
you-
be super annoying. I don't think he'd be like
Yeah,
too
you
fond
get
of me.
booted out of the tribe on week 1.
Oh yeah,
that's what would happen.
oh yeah, yeah. I think if my brother's annoyed with me, Sheldon would really be annoyed with me. So yeah, I think I think that would be the most relatable for me, or I'd enjoy that. I guess that the culture, right?
Right, yeah, totally. And you would be able to have lots of conversations with
Oh,
them and
yeah.
that kind of.
Right.
So yeah. Okay, moving on to question number 8. Are you listening to any podcasts right now, or have you heard any that you like?
There's two that I'm gonna mention. I guess. The first one is kind of when I started listening to podcasts years ago, and it was "How Did This Get Made?" And it's the host is Paul Scheer, and then June Diane Raphael, which is his wife, and then there's a third person. He's the funniest guy. It's a little crude, like the podcast is crude, but they pretty much they watch movies that are like ridiculous or like they're bad movies, but they watch them on purpose, and they'll like they kind of criticize the movie, or like they're like, how did this get made? Like literally, how did this movie get made? Like this is so bad.
they watch movies.
They watch bad movies. Bad movies on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like let's say I don't know if, what's a movie that like has been horrible, like it just bombed completely. They probably would have already done an episode on that. Like, okay, so I don't know if you know about the Super Mario Brothers movie. It was a horrible movie. Okay, so they watch it, and then they go through the plot of it. They tell you behind the scenes stuff, and they're like joking, they're joking. It's very it's a funny.
So you like listening to them? You think they're interesting because of
Yeah.
the way that they do that?
Yeah, like the back and forth. They kind of do jokes, and then they have different personalities too. And then they have like comedian friends of theirs that are like guests at times. So, and that's
Okay.
the thing. So they agree on like, okay, you're gonna watch this movie before we get together, and then we're gonna get together and kind of compare notes. Like, what do you think of this,
Yeah.
or what did you notice? And they're like, oh, like, can you believe that this was like, in the movie, like they just kind of like nitpick.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do a little bit of what we do when we watch movies.
Right, but instead of
kinda
tearing
thing.
it apart, yeah. But they're the
Yeah.
ones that are like kind of like, man, can you believe this? And they have all this history about it. Like it's entertaining, it's funny, and it's based on
Yeah.
like they did Sharknado, and that was like, just like that. They do movies that are horrible, like bad movies on
Incoming
purpose.
call. Walgreens. Answer call. Button. End call.
You don't listen to that as much anymore, right?
Muted.
No, every now and then I'll listen to it, and then there was another one that I would listen to. Sorry, it's because they're calling me. How do I ignore that? Sorry about that. And another podcast that I like, it's called The Office Ladies Podcast, and it's pretty much two of
What is
the.
the pod?
Yeah, that one's the Office Ladies Podcast. That's the one that two of the stars from the TV show The Office, the American one, they're best friends in real life. So they go episode by episode on The Office, and they kind of talk about like behind the scenes stuff. They break the episode down. Like it's a lot of like behind the scenes, and they're best friends in real life. So that's interesting how they interact with each other, and they have a lot of inside stories, and they talk about their personal lives and stuff like that. So that's interesting. And I think it's Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey. They're I guess Pam is the main one, and then Angela, she was Angela in the show. So those are the two podcasts that I guess stand out to me. And I was telling my friend, and she's a girl, right? And I was telling her, I know the audience of this podcast is for women, but I actually enjoy it because I kind of learn a little bit more about the episodes.
Okay.
What about yourself?
I guess I'll have to watch The Office first of all.
Yeah.
And one of these days I'll get to see it if it's somewhere where I can watch it and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
well, it was on Peacock. It was on Netflix forever, but now it's on Peacock. So I think that's the main attraction of Peacock. I guess Friends and The Office are. Oh no, Friends is on HBO Max actually. But yeah, it's on Peacock is the main attraction is The Office. That's kind of like their big selling point.
Okay. Well, one of these days I might be able to watch it, but there's just so many other things to watch too. Yeah. Just like there's a lot of books and music, there's a lot of podcasts. So I've gotten into them in the last year or so, like especially during the pandemic, So like I have a bit more than you do, and I kind of try to get you hooked on some of them, like Crime Junkie.
That's a good one.
With Ashley Flowers and Britt. Yeah, it is really good. I've listened to every episode and try to keep up. And I love the way that Ashley Flowers does her stuff, like narrates and speaks and all that. So I actually listen to Supernatural, which she does as well. And International Infamy is another show that she does. And she does it like, I guess her brand is the Audio Chuck brand. And then she also does stuff for Parcast. Mm-hmm. So I listened to her, and for a while, you know how I was telling you that I kind of had a little crush on Richard Marx because of his voice?
Yeah.
So I found out that he did a podcast because I think I followed him.
Right.
And it's called Tequila Talk, and it's with him and Daisy Fuentes because they're married.
Yeah.
And she's cool, but they, like, him especially, they have, like, potty mouths, like him. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, you have a potty mouth. But, I mean, they were interesting to listen to a certain point. And Oprah, I listened to some of the stuff that she had for podcasts. Mm-hmm. She was interesting. Also, I listened to Conan O'Brien because he's funny.
That's funny. Yeah.
He has, like, stuff. CNN, 5 things, because that's like a quick overview of the news every day. Mm-hmm. Also, for like keeping up with what's happening, sometimes I listen to 2020 or CBS's Sunday Morning. And also Nancy Grace, because she's the one that does a lot of the crime stuff,
Yeah.
So she's really interesting to listen to. So, like, because of listening to all these podcasts, I read less books, but it's still just a good way to spend time and keep up with what's happening and just to be entertained as well.
That's good.
Yep. So, we're on question number 9 now. Okay?
Oh,
I know. So I loved when microwaves and had buttons and stuff like that, like back in the day. Uh-huh. Now you can't feel them, right?
Right.
So my question for you is, if you could bring some technology or idea based from the past, what would it be?
That's a very good one, the one you said. And if you hadn't, I would have done that one. Because especially being blind, having things that are tactile, it helps a lot. So that's why they give us like dots, like little dots that we can kind of like put over things so we can kind of have like a reference or a marker. So that's good. I have it on my microwave for like popcorn or, like number 3 or, I kind of put it on things. So having tactile things is good. That's a very good one. But as for bringing anything back, I mean, I like the video cassettes, like VHS and stuff like that. Like, not so much for like, it's very aesthetic, because I know even on YouTube I listen to some of the movie reviews from different people, and one of them he kind of has like all his VHS like the covers, or they're in there, the tapes are actually in there, but he has them in the background because it's good decoration, like they're very aesthetically pleasing too, because the boxes were bigger, they were cool, they were very cool looking. And then not just that, but also it kind of reminds me of when I was younger, We would go to
Yep.
Hollywood Video, Blockbuster, you know, like every Friday night, every weekend was like a movie rental kind of thing. So it's like the nostalgia of that also. So it's
Yep.
kind of all that. So I guess like VHS cassettes, and you know, like there's always like they're always kind of trying to go back to, you know, to the previous times, you know, like right now I think vinyl, I don't know if it's still big or not, but vinyl, people were kind of getting back into vinyl, even people that are like,
Yeah.
you know, now. So there's kind of like this hipster type of, you know, trying to be like classic, you know what I mean? So for me, it would be the videotapes.
Yeah, and I think like VCRs are actually easier to handle for people with visual impairments because you can. I mean, I know that you can put a DVD in, which is a little bit old school still too, but you don't have the things telling you, oh, you put your DVD in and what
Right.
you choose. You know, like how you guys I think when you do the streaming services, it tells you like what it's pointing to and like all that.
Right, yeah.
With the DVDs, you can't do that. With the VCRs, you have the buttons and the forward, and you know you can learn those easily.
Yeah.
And I
the
really
thing is,
miss the buttons.
yeah, and the thing is, like with DVDs, like you put the DVD in, but then you need the remote, like, cause it's gonna be like play movie or special features or this and that. Like you gotta actually get into menus to play the movie. But with the VCRs, it was just you just push play and it just that's it. Like there's no like bonus content or anything. It's just the movie. You know, the thing that would suck is just rewinding it. You know, back to because you would always have to rewind it before you turn it to the video star. But this kind of
Not that
pros
they
and
would,
cons, right?
Yeah, they wouldn't fine you or do anything to you if you didn't. But yeah,
There was
I know
always
what you're saying.
There was always like a warning. Oh, we'll warn you, or stop doing that, or whatever. There, I don't think we ever got that warning, but I think that was the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, well, I guess we never did that either. So, I know that you don't like things where you have to list a bunch of things, but I know in this one, I named well, I'll just tell you the question. It says, what are the top 7 apps you use on a regular basis? And I picked 7 because I'm like, I know you can't do less than that because you're
Right.
the app collector.
But
And,
like every day. Okay.
So, like, yeah, for me, it was even hard to, like, limit it to 7.
Oh,
so
wow,
that's why
to
I
limit
said
it?
at least
Wow.
7.
Okay. 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 I'll go down the list. I guess. Is Messenger an app or messages? Do you count that?
Yes, you do.
Okay. So
I mean,
it's
you have it as an app.
yeah, because I have my text messages app and then I have the Messenger app from Facebook. So I could put that as 1 or maybe 2. Depends if I can't think of more.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's 2. I see.
Okay, that's 2. Okay.
Not the same.
All right, then I listen to Sirius XM because I listen to like a radio show in the morning. It's like a sports radio show, so I listen to that in the mornings. So it's the Dan Patrick Show on that. So 3, and then I like the rest of it's gonna be streaming. So YouTube, Netflix, that's 5. Prime Video, Disney Plus, HBO Max, that's 8. I guess it was a lot easier than I thought. Okay, and then I like Apple Music. That's another one. I guess the podcast. No, I don't really listen to the podcast on that. I like TuneIn Radio. TuneIn Radio is what I use for podcasts. I mean, I think and then I Google stuff a lot, so I do the Google app. And Wikipedia. I Wikipedia stuff a lot, so I guess that's like 9, 10, 11, something like that. And there are more, but
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
Like I said, you're
It
the
just
app
sounded,
collector.
yeah, it
remember?
just sounded a lot. Yeah. I guess 7 sounded like a big number, but it really isn't. Okay, yeah, so that'd be it for me. And there's a lot more, but I guess those would be
Oh,
it.
I
Like
know.
any streaming service and then any messenger service. And I didn't even mention Facebook, but that's another one. So those
Yep.
would be it, yeah, for me.
I knew it would be hard to narrow it down for you because, like, I call Luis the app collector because he's always trying to get me to like get a new app, and it reminded me of my nephew. I had a nephew
right.
went to his house like every day. He would say, "I found this new app," and I'd be like, "What now?" You know. And it's the same thing with the Luis. He always says, "Guess what? I think you should get this app," and I'm just like, "Another one? I really don't have any room for any more apps. Stop telling me about the
Right.
new and improved whatever." You know.
Yeah. No, I know.
It's yeah. So for me, it's easy to add up the apps too. Facebook is 1, Facebook Messenger 2, Netflix, YouTube, and then I have like devotional app, Our Daily Bread
I have that one
devotional
too.
app.
Yeah, I got that one too.
Yeah, I like that because for a while I really wasn't on the internet that much when I was in Belize and stuff. So I could actually use that and not be online so much. I would just have to update it like every month so that I could get like the daily devotionals.
Right.
And besides that, I had the KJV Bible because again, I didn't have to be online for that.
Right.
But then when I also started using Bible Gateway because I could listen to the audio while I read the KJV, you know, because it's more poetic. I think the King James Bible for me. And then I also there's another one where I could be offline. It's called Christian Resources, and that had like daily devotionals for night, and it had songs and other things. But I also for my apps I couldn't just do 7, so I have RadioNet, which is where I listen to my podcast.
Cool.
And then I had the photo editor because I like to edit pictures every now and then, make memes if I'm in the mood or I need to. And then I had a writer pad app because I don't really use my computer as much anymore. Like it just doesn't work.
Right.
So I sometimes just write stuff on my Kindle or tablet, and I just need to save it somewhere. So I use like the writer's pad. So those are mine. I mean, there's a bunch. Like
there's a bunch. There's one that I just remembered right now. But there's one that I use for recording. Just press record. Is this for like voice memos? But you can record a good amount of time. I used to use that for when we had church services. I would record the messages for people that were absent, so I would kind of email them through that. So there's a lot of very useful apps, you know. Some like
totally.
like entertainment is awesome, you know, but there's also very like handy ones too. Like for me, that recording app is really good.
Yeah. So I think maybe with us talking about all these different things, we've given people ideas about like maybe apps they didn't know about or movies they haven't watched or TV shows that they've missed. And at least that's what we hope for when we do these different shows, that people will just get ideas for themselves and that sort of thing, you know? So I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but for me, that's all the questions I have for you today. And I'm back.
No,
we'll be back with more stuff. So
I think next time it'll be an actual movie, so we'll figure that out. We'll figure out which movie we do next time. But just thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing all those questions, and that was just a little bit more about us.
Until next time.
Thank you.